Geoff Schwartz played in the NFL for almost a decade. Of course, his brother is Super Bowl winner, right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is now joining us live, which we always appreciate him stopping by. Also host a Bear Bets podcast with our friend Chris Felica. So, you know, the Caleb Williams, one of the comments off the Seth Wickersham book was, there's nobody there watching film with me. So you tell me, when you're watching film as a quarterback, is it a solo endeavor? Are there coaches always there? You tell me.
What I found interesting about that comment isn't really about the coaches helping him. It says there was no veteran to help him. That's how you learn watching film, from veterans, from guys that have done it before. Yeah, your coaches can help you, but the coaches have to game plan. They have to meet on their own. And there are specific times when you do meet with them and they do work with you. But a lot of time when you watch film, quote unquote, like on your own, it's with a veteran when you're a young player. I mean, Jordan Gross was my mentor. I'll give him a shout out. He helped me learn how to watch film, how to lift, how to prepare, how to do all those things. And when you look at the depth chart last year of the Bears, there was no veteran. Like, that was a huge mistake of theirs, that they didn't have someone just there, not to compete with him for the job, but just there. Hey, man, here's how you prepare. Here's how you watch film. Here's how you watch a pressure tape. Here's how you watch a base defense tape. Here's what you do on Fridays. Here's how you prepare on Saturdays. And of course, Williams doesn't have to always do exactly what the veteran tells him to do, but it's a good sounding board. It's someone to talk to who's been through the battles of NFL season. There was no one there to do that with. So coupled with probably not understanding that coaches might not watch as much film with you as you'd like, is you have to find a different way to learn. And that's a way a lot of guys learn. And so that was surprising to me, that I guess I hadn't thought about that. Then I went and looked back at the depth chart, and there was no one there, no teammates to help him.
Do his comments, they bothered Boomer Esiason? Did they bother you in retrospect?
They don't bother me. I do question sort of the timing of why they're out now. The book, it's not due till September. Last I checked, it's the middle of May. Are people rushing out to buy the book today because the comments are out? So that's kind of, I don't know why they're out today. But look, his dad, I think, ended up being right in year one. A lot of dysfunction, not a great situation. So, you know, in the end, his dad was right. Now, obviously, now you can change the course of the history of the Bears, right? You bring in Ben Johnson, you bring in the additions they've made to the offensive line and on defense, and you can become the Bears' first 4,000-yard passer and change everything. But I think up until now, his dad has been right. I mean, his family's been right. It has been dysfunction. And look, I know they hope to change that with the Ben Johnson hire.
You know, it's funny, the world we live in. I can like a player, but in a salary cap sport, you know, I don't worry about it in baseball. Pay Juan Soto what you want if you're Steve Cohen. But I didn't like the Tua deal or the Dak deal. And I feel the exact same way about the Brock Purdy deal. I like Dak and Tua at the right number. Now, revenues go up. Maybe 53 feels like 48 in 2 years. But I feel the exact same way. I've called Brock Purdy, Geoff, the AFC Tua. Not as good in bad weather. Little smaller than I'd love, can struggle pushing the ball downfield again if it's a little windy or inclement, and a couple injuries where one more, I'm not sure what I have. Do you feel that it's kind of like the Tua deal?
I feel like he's one of the quarterbacks that you have mentioned that needs a lot around him to elevate his team, right? Like, he's not a guy like an Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Jackson. Like, we know that, right? That a guy that's going to elevate everyone around him. If things are going well, he's going to play really good. The thing we don't talk about with the Niners and with some of these teams as well that sign these quarterbacks is how important it is to draft and develop when you pay someone this much money. The Chiefs have done it well. The Eagles, the Ravens, the Bills to some extent. The Niners haven't. Go look at their roster right now, Colin. Find me the impact players they have drafted in the last 5 seasons.
Right.
Not a lot of them. And that's what's going to hold them back. Is they have not drafted and developed. And look, they lost multiple first-round picks on the Trey Lance deal. So they have a first-round pick for a couple of years. Hard to draft impact players in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, like successfully year after year. And they just don't have. So they paid Brock Purdy, which they had to do, as you mentioned. Like, they had to do it. There was no option. But now you look at the roster and you think, okay, when Trent Williams is gone, when Kittle's older, when McCaffrey's older, when all these guys get older, where are the impact players? Now, last year's draft was good, I think, so far. Right? They got a guard, and Pearsall, I think, will be good, but obviously was hampered first half of last year with playing time. The problem with the Niners isn't they paid Purdy. It's that the rest of the roster, where's the young, impactful players?
Yeah, they're hoping Mikael Williams is that. They're hoping the kid they got in the first round is that. It's a couple of weeks ago a week ago we had the rookie mini camps. Now I am under the I believe this, that Dillon Gabriel was a reach. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback of note. I think the front office of Cleveland, not counting the owner, wanted to draft a quarterback so they'd get out of the Shador conversation. My buddy John Middlecoff mentioned this. And then by the 5th round, the owner knocked on the door and said, go draft him. That said, I think Shador is going to win the job. I don't think he's great, but I think he's accurate. He moves well enough. Where do you land on that circus? I mean, it's Kenny Pickett, it's Gabriel, it's Shador, it's Flacco. Where are you on the Cleveland quarterback situation?
I feel like there's sort of two separate job applications, jobs happening, right? There's like the Flacco, Kenny Pickett, who's going to start. Like that's one competition, right? And the loser of that most likely is released, okay? And then there's sort of like the Gabriel Sanders, who's the primary backup. I don't think that at Gabriel Sanders camp, unless they are so good early in training camp, are going to overtake sort of the Pickett Flacco, who's going to start competition, right? Because look, those guys have experience. And I mentioned this when the draft happened. There's 4 quarterbacks that need reps. You have single practices now. You don't have 2-a-days. And now even practices, you get every 4th day off and you have a load management day. Like there's just not enough reps, Colin, unless Shador is that good early on. He's that much better than Flacco, which he probably won't be in practice, right? Flacco's done this a long time now. So you basically would have to give him the job saying, hey, man, we just see so much in practice. There's not a lot to see in games yet. We'll give him jobs. So I think early on, it's probably Flacco, Pickett, whoever wins that job. And then the primary backup will just be the winner of the Sanders Gabriel. I think, look, Gabriel, I'm with you. I think he's a career backup, but he's going to look good in practice. Like you're going to have to basically lose that job in the preseason, and I think he will. I think Sanders will play better than him in the preseason. So I think that right now, I think Flacco starts probably the year as a quarterback. At some point, though, Sanders overtakes him and gets you, because Flacco gives you only so much, right? There's not a lot of upside in that. It just sort of gets you through the first couple of weeks, maybe feel good about your offense, get some wins here and there, don't make a ton of mistakes. Eventually, that's going to run out. We saw it in Indy last year. They tried to bench Richardson for Flacco. It lasted like 2 weeks. So I think Sanders will eventually play, but probably not start the season number 1.
I was talking about this. There's been these questions about. I'll circle back to Caleb Williams, that there was a little bit of ego, and I said, well, he was the first NIL superstar, so I've defended him, and there was questions about Shador not wanting to like his dad kind of leading the charge on. So the last couple of years we've had Caleb. A little pushback on the emotion, NIL. Shador Sanders drops in the draft. Dad's talking. Next year, we have Arch Manning. And again, the Manning family is American royalty. Yeah. Now, I think it's interesting how they've handled it. They have never transferred. They've been, now he's making $6 million at NIL.
Yeah.
So I think the Mannings have, because of Dad, Eli, Peyton, like they get the game. They get the quarterback position, right? Like just be a good sport. Be a backup to Quinn Ewers, but you're a college football diehard, and I think I'm beyond a casual in college football. What do you make a year out? A year ago today, Quinn Ewers was a first-round quarterback. Is Arch Manning, is the Manning name a bigger part of this than the talent? What do you see with him?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't played a ton of football yet. I mean, when he's played the football, there's obviously signs that he can mature into something that's special. I think the thing about this year in college football, it's the year of the quarterback. I mean, there's like 8 quarterbacks right on the top of your head that could go number 1. Now, obviously, they probably all won't be the 9th quarterback who goes first overall. But you look at Arch, you look at Klubnik and Nessmeyer and all these guys. I mean, I'm missing obviously a bunch of names here. Like, there's going to be so many quarterbacks this year. It's going to be sort of like an ice cream flavor, right? Like you pick your favorite one, and it might be different across different teams. Arch just has to play more. We need to see more consistent play. He just hasn't played, right? Ewers has been the starter. He's spot started. He's looked good in those moments. But look, when you spot start, teams don't have film on you. You know, it's the 5th, 6th, 7th game in a row you played where teams start figuring out, okay, well, when he rolls to his right, he does this. When he looks left, he does that. There's the offense that they've designed for him. What if we take that away? What's next? So in the glimpses we've seen, he looks like a very complete quarterback. Just need to see a full season. He'll get a full year this year. A lot of people predict Texas back in maybe a championship game, winning the SEC. Like, he'll have his moments this year, Colin. They have a hard schedule. Like, they play at Ohio State, and then they have Georgia as well. They might have Bama as well. Like, they're going to have an opportunity, or he will have an opportunity to play the better teams in the country to show us whether or not he's good enough. Now, the last thing I'll say here, the NFL draft, I think, has gone away from what do you show me on Saturdays, and it's more what can you be on Sundays. So we might think a quarterback here and there doesn't have it in college, but teams look at his talent, his arm talent, his maturity, his mental capacity, his ability to see things, happen in real time, and say, we want that guy on our team. The college production doesn't matter as much. So this would be a fun year. There's so many quarterbacks this season. There could be 7, 8 guys in the top 2 days.
Geoff Schwartz, I want to leave you with this. I said this last year. I got some pushback. I said it last week, is that people are hyperventilating. The first thing the WNBA did is they just didn't understand how popular Caitlyn Clark was. I mean, again, with Taylor Swift, you got 10 years if you're Ticketmaster to figure out how popular she was. Sometimes you just don't know how big of a star she is. So I'm not going to crush the league for that. But it was funny watching the foul over the weekend that got upgraded to a flagrant. And I thought, God, the league doesn't know how to officiate this rivalry yet. It's like nobody quite knows how to handle it. What did you make of this foul, the flagrant, the talk after? What did you make of it?
I like competitors that are fiery. I've said this for many years now. Like, sports are emotional. It's okay if in the emotion of a sport, two grown adults yell at each other and are angry. I've never had a problem with it. I don't get the flagrant foul system in basketball. I've never gotten it. That didn't look like a flagrant to me. They sort of deem like anything extra non-intentional that's a little bit hard as a flagrant foul. The thing that's so fascinating to me, and I'm going to steal this from Josh Pate, because he came up with this term. In 2023, when Colorado started 3-0, there were a lot of people talking about Colorado and Deion Sanders that did not talk about college football ever. And they said things that were, well, a little bit different. And that's the Deion tax, he said, right? Where it's people that don't really cover the sport, that don't pay attention to the sport, that now are forced to talk about it because it's popular and they're on shows and they got to say something. It feels like right now we're like a WNBA tax, a Caitlyn Clark, Angel Reese tax, where people are commenting about the sport, that don't watch it, that don't watch sports a lot, they don't understand sports. Like, to me, yeah, it's a hard foul. It happens in sport. Angel Reese got upset. She yelled at Clark. Like, that's what happens a lot, all the time. Yeah. NBA, NFL, NHL. I mean, you watch NHL, I watch tons of NHL. They fight like all the time. They punch each other in the face. They get into it after a goalie gets hit. Like, so to me, that's sports, and there's nothing more or less than what happened during that play. But everyone has to talk about it because they want to talk about the popular thing that happened this weekend. So it's like it's a tax on new fans having I've seen stuff where people said, Colin, that she should not play against a fever anymore. Angel Reese, like, what are we doing? It's just sports. They're passionate athletes who one fouled her, one yelled at her. Like, that's it. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, basketball's not soccer. We don't swap jerseys. Animosity's okay. There's a history from high school, AAU, college to the pros where teams don't love each other. I mean, I covered UNLV and Duke. You remember this. You're old enough to remember this. Yeah. I covered UNLV and Duke, and the coaches loved each other. But there was a lot of good guy, bad guy. The guys in the desert, they're the bad guys. The Duke kids are great. And there was a lot of animosity. And in the end, it was great. A lot of those players ended up liking each other or playing with each other. And I think, to Josh Pate, who's a smart guy, to his credit, there's a lot of overreaction to what is just sports. That's all it is. It's just sports.
That's all it is. And I think, by the way, this is all great for the league. Like, I think they didn't realize what was coming with the last couple of years, but all this attention, more eyeballs. I've never watched more WNBA, not just Caitlyn Clark, like all of it more often now. Now, some of that is a sports wagering, of course, but nonetheless, like, I've watched more of it. I know you have, like, we all have, and it's good for the league. And they'll figure out sort of, I think, what the discourse should be when it comes to these two players.
Geoff Schwartz, as always, buddy, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, bud.